Mike is here handling the film. We greatly appreciate that. Bob was here earlier to help set up. And Robin is doing a great job back there at the desk and also giving those really cool Starbucks cards. So a special thank you, Robin, for doing that today. So thanks so much. Up next, we have Mackenzie. And Mackenzie is with CauseEngine, and they help nonprofits accomplish their goals and meet deadlines and increase their impact by connecting them with talented freelancers. So turn the floor over to Mackenzie.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today?
Good.
Thank you to the Million Cups volunteers. I actually just moved back to this area, and it's been really nice to immediately find kind of a place to come and reintegrate myself into this community again. It's been about 4 years since I was here. So as was mentioned, I'm Mackenzie Padell. I am a proud military spouse and mother of 2 beautiful children, which is why my hair is still wet this morning. They are 3 and 1, and my life is a little chaotic with a husband deployed as we speak. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about CauseEngine today. How many of us, oh cool, so I'm going to have technical difficulties this morning. There we go. How many of us have seen this slide? Anybody seen this? Okay, it's a pretty familiar slide within the entrepreneurial space. What this slide is telling us is that we should strive to be the bacon and not the bread, right? We should strive to do something that matters, strive to do something that has an impact that people are going to care about. I want to tell you guys a story, and it's actually probably familiar to many of you in this room. August 6, 2011, we lost 30 Americans and a working dog when a helicopter crashed in Afghanistan. You guys remember it was very central to this community. And to show solidarity for those families, I co-founded an organization called 31 Heroes. They're actually having their big events this upcoming weekend. It was an incredible experience, and it was incredibly difficult to build a nonprofit that stood behind these families and that we could give them support and grow our business like many of us are looking to do today, right? We're here because we're small business owners, we're entrepreneurs, we want access to cash, we want access to other resources. Nonprofits don't have that same access. They're not given those same freedoms to spend money, to demand the best quality of work, and we're here to change that. So these are the co-founders. Myself and James Brogan are former executive directors of nonprofits. So we know what it's like to live the life of a nonprofit executive director or their operations or their development staff. We know how hard it is. We know that we're often asked to have expertise in areas that we don't in fact have expertise in. So we want to walk you through what our actual platform is today. I don't mean to keep turning my back to you guys. Sorry about that. Not my laptop. So I want to walk you guys through this, but I'm happy to say 2 Marines, Naval Academy grads. One is actually a wounded combat veteran. So a lot of talent and a lot of power. All right, you guys, CauseEngine is the online marketplace that is aiming to pair nonprofits with freelance professionals to strengthen operations and power social impact. So we literally are trying to bring these communities together to do good. Work inspired, we're calling it. Okay, so here's how we do that. We created this platform that is a custom platform where we can go out and we can pair nonprofits with these talented, vetted, curated group of freelance professionals. We're going to be focusing in the technical and creative spaces. Not all freelancers will make it onto the platform. So by the time that somebody is on the platform, they are a CauseEngine Pro. We have vetted them, we have seen their work, and we would recommend them. And in fact, we are actually using many of the freelancers to do our own internal work to stand behind them. All right. So this is our platform. We're happy to say it's going to be launching here pretty soon. We're doing a beta in Philadelphia. But a nonprofit visits CauseEngine.com. They create a profile, and then they're able to submit project-based work. What we mean by that is I need a new logo. In fact, I just did one yesterday where we had somebody wants to rebrand and create a new logo. So they come on, they do that project submission, and they submit their budget. That can then go out to a specific freelance professional, or they can actually go ahead and look through our freelance professionals, and they can choose a CauseEngine Pro that they would like to work with. Once they've identified somebody, they do some negotiation, they go back and forth. We've actually built some project management into that platform. So we've built deliverables in there, we've built milestones, and we've also built nonprofit preparation. So oftentimes nonprofits aren't gathering all the necessary materials for the freelancers, so that can delay that project start and end date. So we want to kind of prepare both parties for the most efficient engagement. So once they've hired that right person, the nonprofit money goes into escrow associated with what that project budget is. They go through that process of kind of moving back and forth on different iterations, whatever the project might be. And then the project is complete, the nonprofit payment goes through to the freelancer once it's been QC'd. We believe that this frees the nonprofits to focus on what they actually need to focus on, which is execution of their operations and mission, whatever that might be within their community. They don't need to be focusing on the technical and the creative side of the house. Again, those are things that often aren't skills that should be internal to a nonprofit, and nonprofits feel pulled like they need to do that. A little bit about our business model. So we're going to do the freemium to the premium. Okay, so right now, we are running the freemium model with some premium offline. But basically we're doing 13%, that's 8% from the freelancer and 5% from the nonprofit. So a $100 project, the freelancer gets paid $92, we charge that nonprofit $105. We're going to be playing with this to see how it is, kind of what the ideal rate is going to be. We actually, right now, are testing some of the premium models. So we have a couple of clients that are new nonprofits that want help looking at everything from their governance to their technology infrastructure. So we dedicate a certain number of hours to them a month for that support, basically that action plan, and then they will execute those actions and those projects on the platform. So we not only engage them offline, but then we're asking them to execute those projects online. Okay? Okay, my ask for today. We are a new company. I have just moved back to the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach market. We will be looking to do several pilots, several betas. So I would love for you guys to connect me with nonprofits and talented freelancers. Again, we're focusing on those technical and creative freelancers right now. Nonprofit, we're cause agnostic. We want to help people help whatever they care about. Okay? So again, thank you for your time today. My name is Mackenzie Padell, and I will take any questions.
Thanks, Mackenzie. On the beta, I would start the questions off. Sure. Is this like a free beta thing for the time being, or is there a cost to participate in the beta?
We are still running the basic transaction rate, so it's still 13% because we need to be able to pay those freelancers, and we also want to be able to kind of keep the nonprofits engaged so they've got some skin in the game to move forward.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there a paywall in there today? Like if you want more than free, then you...
There isn't now. That will be something that we move forward on. The platform will be ready this week, which is very exciting. Sir?
What kind of liability do you have if you connect somebody to a nonprofit who fails to perform?
So we are guaranteeing that. So basically we've actually worked through a process that will be kind of a policy of 2 strikes and you're out from a freelance perspective. We will intervene on that situation right now. We will be building customer service teams so that we're touching base with the nonprofits and the freelancers on those deliverables that are in the system. But we would not charge the nonprofit if a project is not delivered. And we would kick the freelancer off the system. Yes, please.
I think it's a marvelous idea, and I can certainly set you up with lots and lots of creative local freelancers.
Lovely,
so,
thank you.
Happy to help there, and nonprofits as well. But of course, selfishly, I would wonder, what is the place for a vendor like my company, Studio Center, that does videos and does audio and websites? What is our place?
What would you
be?
do?
By a sponsored place there, because it would not be great. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
It would not be great for me to give you creatives and nonprofits and then have them work together. I sort of cut myself out of it unless I could be on there as a vendor for video.
Okay, so what we've done in that instance, we actually have somebody, grant writing is a great example of that. So there are kind of these grant writing collaboratives where they're doing the research and the case statement design and things of that nature. So what we've done in that instance is we have a primary point of contact who is the person that manages the freelancers. That individual and I engage, then they assign to the freelance management, and we have a contract that you then will follow through on that and deliver. Same thing would happen to you if something doesn't come through. But there are opportunities if you are managing freelancers to engage. And this individual that I'm talking about charges their hourly rate and then would allocate based on that to their
But
freelancers.
would there be a place where any nonprofit could go in and see, say, a web designer, see Studio Center for video, see someone else for, I don't know, webcasting? Like I don't really know how to articulate it.
So,
As an individual sponsored vendor of your site, that they know that exists.
okay,
Do you know where, so I
So-
have nothing to do with somebody who calls you as a freelancer, and I have nothing to do with the creative that they're working with. But I want them to know about Studio Center as a video option, because that's what I'm
so
looking at.
not right now. We don't have that option right now. So a lot of the talent that we're interacting with is purely freelance based.
Okay.
But that will be something we've talked about, the sponsorship opportunities
Yeah.
and the CauseEngine approved and the, we'll be doing sales pipelines for the freelancers to educate them on nonprofit needs. Once they've gone through a series of those, they would then become CauseEngine certified, so we could do some of those same things.
Wonderful. That's great.
Oh, lots of questions. Oh, and a podium.
Yeah, you mentioned, select the freelance professional, send them the job.
Yep.
Do you have a way where I can kind of put a mini RFP together, send it to multiple, and get proposals?
So it sits out there. So the project is bid. When you come onto the system, you identify your skill set, you identify causes that you care about. So those freelancers will be pinged based on what their skills are and what their causes are, and they can bid on that project. And so you can receive multiple bids at the same time, and it's not like a catch a fire.
So
that
do
has
I
to-
go out and say, hey, I've got a job?
Right.
You've got the profile of my nonprofit.
Yep.
And then I somehow say, I need artwork, or I need
Yes.
a new logo, or whatever, and then it goes through their skill set and matches it up automatically?
Not automatically. They get notification if that skill set comes through. Eventually, we'd like to have an algorithm. We're not there yet. So it sits in a kind of free space for projects. So there will be project posting space.
So it would ping the professional that, hey,
That it's
this
out
looks
there.
like it's something in your skill set,
Correct.
you should look at it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Should the freelance professionals expect to make less per hour or less per project because it's a nonprofit? Or is this going to be as competitively priced as a normal business environment?
Sure. So oftentimes when freelancers are coming on, they are reducing their prices a little bit. That's not always the case. However, we want to get to know our freelancers to the point that we can predict and expect their pipelines. So I might have a skilled freelance professional who's a stay-at-home mom who wants 2 projects a month. I'd like to be able to funnel that number of projects to that individual so that they can expect that, so that they've got a more steady income. So we're not looking to have 15,000 freelancers on this space. We're looking to have 100 within each category that we know well and we know will perform, and that way, if they're reducing their hourly rate, they're still getting more dependable income. They're also not having to track down that payment. So because we take the payment into escrow, they know that that's coming. They can predict when that's coming, which is a big deal for freelancers. Oh my guys, yes. 20 minutes, here we go. Please.
What's to prevent an ELANCE from simply coming out with a not-for-profit category and offering discounted rates and?
They don't know the business.
Okay.
So there is nobody catering to the nonprofit space. I neglected to mention in my excitement, there are 216,000 nonprofits out there. They have revenue between $500,000 and $10 million. Okay, so we understand this life cycle of nonprofits. We understand what it's like to live in their shoes. 2 of us have been there and started nonprofits ourselves. So that, we're curating them, which is a big deal too, because you go out there, I've had current clients that we're working with say, I spend $100 just to find the right person, as opposed to, and then the project starts on the Fivers and the Odesks and the Elancers. So we actually think that the businesses that we understand and the staff members that we eventually employ will be from the nonprofit sector. They'll speak the same language, they'll have the same expertise.
You mentioned that the working home mom freelancer
Yes.
wanted to, and you'll work to funnel that to her. So now I'm wondering, I'm thinking, hey, I'm the nonprofit, I put it out there, the people interested bid it. I'm hearing you have more intervention, you're hands-on doing something in this arrangement. What is it you're doing?
So right now, what we're doing is we're managing the freelancers that are coming onto the system. We're managing what the nonprofits need. So a lot of,
I guess my question is,
Sure.
define manage. I don't know what you're doing.
You don't know what we're doing in terms of
I
pairing
don't know
them?
what you're managing, yeah.
So what we'll be managing right now, because we're in our beta, eventually, again, we'd like to get to an algorithm, but what we're managing is who we go after, the project assistants, and how they go about submitting that and pairing. Not answering your question based on the furrow in your brow. Okay,
No, it's not clicking for me. So I guess, because I am a computer jock and I am a project manager, and I'm envisioning, I got a profile for the nonprofit, I got a profile for the freelance. When the job comes in, I married the profile of the job to the freelance, and it says, hey, here's your probable list of interested people. That's why I'm having trouble figuring out what
So
you
ours-
individually are doing.
so ours is prior to them coming onto the platform, so ours is that initial engagement. So for a freelancer, they come on and they submit the application, we're then reaching out to them, getting to know their expectations, and making sure that it's going to fit with the nonprofits that are coming into the system. We're doing the same thing as we onboard and orient the nonprofits as to certain action plans, and the more you increase in that free to premium model, the more hands-on that will be and the more management that there will be. Some nonprofits need no management whatsoever. They understand that they need to have a website updated. So they're gonna come on and submit that website, and they're never going to interact with us because they don't
Okay.
need to. Others are going to need that premium model where they know that they don't have the right governance structure in place. They know that they don't have the right creatives in place.
So in your profiles, that's your definition of premium is, hey, we're gonna be there as a member of your team helping you. Of course, it's the free, which is connecting
Correct.
everything on your own, have nothing to do with it.
Correct.
And the two in the middle, what are the varying degrees of your hands-on?
Hours, so dedicated hours with subject matter experts within the nonprofit sector.
Okay.
So if a nonprofit says, I know that this is an area of weakness for us, and they self-identify that, or we talk to them and identify, we would then pair them with a subject matter expert for those several hours of allocated, dedicated time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Plus you'd be managing quality control.
absolutely, very, very hands-on with that. Did you have a question still? I saw your hand go up now.
Mine was sort of the combination. So as I was listening to you talk, it's like Updesk or Upwork for nonprofits. You talked about reaching out to the freelancers, getting to know them, seeing if it fits. What specifically are you doing to screen them? Because people have varying degrees of success on Upwork, and I'm one of those people
Sure.
that have varying degrees of success. So that's one side of it. So what's the screening process? The other side of it is other sites like Upwork are very international, and hourly rates are driven down by people outside the U.S. So are you U.S. only, or are you opening it up?
Right now, we're US for the freelancers, and we feel that that's important to, I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of kind of the invitation models that exist, where a freelancer does good work, then they invite their 5 closest friends, and it becomes a network of people that are talented, and they continue to drive that quality up because it's not unlimited access. So what are we doing to screen, to get back to that point? We are reviewing all of, so if they're a graphic designer, we want to see previous materials, we want to check out their social profiles, we want to talk to their clients, and we'll actually be doing all of that and tracking all of that. And we'd actually probably like to be reaching out to 2 or 3 previous clients to see that work and see how that process went. Because we know that there's going to be some give and take there. Some people are going to be phenomenal creatives. Maybe they're a little slow in the milestone in the deliverable process, but it was worth it. We need to know those things and understand those things and try and, from a customer service perspective, predict those things. Yeah.
So I've used freelancer.com, and I guess I'm trying to figure out what the difference between what you're doing and what freelancer.com does. But it sounds like, I did spend a lot of time fumbling around using freelancers that went basically nowhere.
Right.
But I paid $29 to get matched up with a freelancer that was perfect for me, and now I'm very satisfied. I guess you're saying you don't have to pay the $29 to get a matchup?
Correct.
Okay.
But by the time you've already landed on the system, those people have been vetted and they've been curated, and we know that they will deliver.
Okay.
And if they don't, that falls on us to rectify that situation.
So I guess then that my biggest concern would also be like what I've done to Freelancer. I've now contacted with these developers.
Mhm.
Well, now after the first project through Freelancer, I cut them out.
Right.
And I go directly to them, and I never pay a dime to freelancer ever again.
So that is a concern of ours, and that's something, obviously, we're trying to work through it in the legal documents, which we actually are finalizing as we speak, so they'll be out of the system in the event that they take it offline. It is a risk of ours, and we will
Yeah.
continue to be evaluating that, but we also believe that with everything but the free model, we add value in that we're helping these nonprofits with sustainability and with growth. In fact, we think that we can, in the long run, save them some FTEs because they're not bringing skill sets that they shouldn't be in-house. And then we're doing that project management component, which it doesn't exist in other platforms. So that tracking of the milestones, that tracking of the deliverables, that customer service doesn't exist in the other platforms. Yes?
Have you thought about it all keeping like an intermediate manager of the project so that there's not direct connection between the nonprofit and the freelancer?
We have, and that will maybe be something that we explore as we continue to grow. Right now, it's 3 of us managing it, so it's impossible to not know what's going on within the system. But that certainly is something that we will be looking at from an account management perspective, how we interface and how we bring ourselves into that system if it's necessary and if it's needed and wanted by the customers. Yes?
In the long run, are you gonna do kind of like a reverse what GuideStar does for nonprofits to the rest of the world as far as like evaluating how much money the not-for-profit gives compared to what they take in? Are you gonna do the same thing for the professionals, for the not-for-profit, saying, hey, the professionals do this particular job at this rate, which in the real world would cost this much, but because they're doing it for a not-for-profit, they're doing it for this much, and then we're ranking them, kind of like GuideStar
Yep.
does rankings of the not-for-profits. Would you be ranking your professionals that way as well?
So that's absolutely part of what we want to talk about is kind of long-term hourly rates. They can post their hourly rates for us, but that is absolutely something we will be tracking and communicating because we want to get to that point of being able to actually save them money and time. Most nonprofits rely on skill-based volunteering, which is wonderful and very difficult at the same time. Skill-based volunteers, you're never going to call them up and say, you didn't deliver what you said you were going to deliver because it's a volunteer. And so that accountability component is tough, and we believe that's what we're going to be disrupting a little bit here is that skill-based volunteering. Yes?
Have you, I know Nate and I, when we've built out these various websites, have you looked at how aggressive like an eHarmony and a Match.com are to like try to get the projects picked up? And have you all thought about what email marketing campaign you might do on either side to try to make sure that orphan projects don't get left and then ultimately freelancers know you're still thinking about them? Or
So we are using Intercom to communicate with both parties and both within the system and as a email system. Any marketplace that we've talked to has this continual balance, right, of the supply and demand of both parties. And so it's this continual pipeline of communication. We know that in order for freelancers not to get frustrated if the project work is low, we need to communicate with them, tell them what's coming, tell them what we're doing. And actually, we're trying to be very proactive in that communication right now. We have about 166 users in the system, and we'll be launching them, here very quickly.
One more question. Yes, sir.
I've never intended to get into this kind of business model.
But you're going to now?
But I'm already there, and I really, the one area I'd like for you to examine is the helping the nonprofits understand what they really need and how you can help it. I sit on a couple, 3 boards of nonprofits, and it's like I beat my head on this table here because they don't understand how this works, even for the nonprofits.
Sure,
Forget
sure.
about the freelance professional.
Yes, sir.
Somebody walks by and has websites on their chest, they'll hire them. And because they don't know, they don't
Correct.
understand.
So I would tell you that that's very, I would agree with you, and part of it is they don't understand and they can't pick their heads up long enough to take a look at what's going on. So nonprofit staff members and executive directors are so bombarded, the burnout rate is so unbelievable. I used to describe it as falling forward. That's all I could do, right? I constantly felt like I was tripping and falling forward. So part of what we can do is, part of that engagement of that 10 hours is to lay out a landscape of the things, their highest risk areas, what they need to be doing operationally, financially, all of these different things, so that then they can work through that action plan and execute it on the platform. there are so many conversations that we're having right now. We have a phenomenal client that we just picked up that they've been tremendously successful due to a viral marketing campaign. They have no idea what to do now. They have no idea what to do with that money, how to go about vetting other organizations to give that money to. So we will be they're hiring us on a retainer like the premium model to come in and to set that action plan for them. Another interesting opportunity we also think is to take big philanthropy, so private foundations and private family foundations, and prior to them making a donation, they say, okay, so if it's a $100,000 donation, 20,000 of that needs to go to CauseEngine for evaluation, action plan, organizational management before we give that money, so that we can help them be sustainable organizations and execute through the platform.
Thank you, Mackenzie.